Salutations Internet, it's your boy Lou from Hades here, and today we're going to be reviewing Cyberpunk 2077. Cue the intro.
You're broke! You're fucking poor!
Okay, I just been informed here in Brokey Studios, we unfortunately don't have the budget for an intro. Your views will help contribute to improving the quality of the video in this channel. Please subscribe and like. Thank you. So Cyberpunk 2077 dropped in 2020, around there. I want to say mixed sentiment, but probably according to my friends who actually bought the game on launch, yeah, the reception was poor. I mean, it got pulled from the Sony store. To make a long story short, the game was buggy at launch, but that's putting it mildly. It's just not like Witcher 3 buggy or even the whimsical Bethesda buggy from the Fallout and Skyrim series. This was pretty bad, game-breaking buggy. Yeah. This is going to be largely attributed to CDPR trying to launch that thing on potatoes, the PS4 and Xbox at the time. I'm not sure if it applies to PCs. I wasn't a part of the PC master race at the time, so I can't comment. I was more broke than I am now, which is it's quite surprising. It's actually quite shocking, quite sad, really. But yeah, we continue. I upgraded. I'm now part of the PC master race. Still broke, but not as broke. Yeah, so the game, after 2 years of tons of patching and a DLC, it's finally in a complete state. So I thought I'll give my 2 cents on the matter. Now that I got free time on leave, so I actually have the time, the capacity to actually provide a review. So yeah, let's get into it. From a visual perspective, Cyberpunk is one of the best looking games I've played in a minute. The best game from a visual perspective that I played before Cyberpunk was Horizon Forbidden West, which I thought was absolutely amazing. The world that you're inhabiting, the characters, the enemy types, just the overall designs, everything that you see in the game looked like it was I can't fault it, can't think of ways to improve it. It looked amazing. And graphically, man, the quality of the image, it just looked amazing. Cyberpunk, to me, is on that level. Night City, the architecture of the world, man, I can picture in my head. I can see it in the game. And because it looks so good in the game, I could almost picture it in the real world. It's amazing. And especially with the NPCs walking across the streets, just the general look and feel adds to the immersion, man. I feel like I'm in Night City when I play that game. It's amazing. Can't knock it. It's amazing. It adds to the overall experience. It's amazing. I can't have to put it in ST in my mind. It's right up there with Forbidden West. Can't knock it. Amazing. Yeah. Nothing more to add than that. Simply great. Okay, moving on to the standard open RPG elements. Talking about the open world, Cyberpunk's open world is pretty good. It's the visuals, as I said, going back to what I said in the visuals section, like the visuals, the graphics are amazing. And then when you mix that in with a brilliantly architectured open world, and then with like a dense, lively, a densely populated open world where it's pretty lively with NPCs going on about their lives, and the fact that the NPCs also look very, visually they look different from one another with different voices. It just helps with the immersion. You know what I mean? You can't help but feel that you're in Night City, and that helps you, actually get engrossed in the game. So overall, that's amazing. Can't knock it. When you go into character customization, it's pretty standard, very serviceable. That makes me sound like it's a meh, but it's actually pretty good. You can create some pretty good looking Vs. It's just the reason why I say it's standard is it doesn't really do much different from any other RPG you've played in terms of designing your character. I guess the only thing that the difference, something that I find unique, and I guess you can mess around with your cyberware. mess around with the cyberware that V has on his or her face, which is pretty cool. And then this also harkens back to more so with the cybernetic implants. When you choose your cyber arms, which are the mantis blades, gorilla arms, and the other arms which allow you to shoot rockets from your hands, those ones they actually change. They actually visually affect what your hands look like, which is pretty cool. So it also sort of helps with the whole customization of your V. Going to the clothing, it's pretty good. There's a wide, you can dress your V in a wide variety of ways, and saying so you can create some pretty bad looking Vs at the same time. So character customization, although it's I'd say it just delivers a good experience, but doesn't do anything out of the ordinary or extraordinary. So I'd put it either as it's an A, it's an A. It's not spectacular, it's somewhere around there. So it's an A, it's good. Going into character origins, or in Cyberpunk, life paths, I'd say it's a bit meh, in all honesty. If you had to have one on a spectrum of, like, for those who have played, Mass Effect on the far left and Dragon Age Origins on the far right, I would say the life paths are better than Mass Effect, but worse than but substantially worse than Dragon Age Origins. Whereas in like Mass Effect was pretty much it didn't really do anything at all. It was just like it got acknowledged by a few characters, but you didn't even play any openings, and it was really ultimately insignificant what you chose for your life path or character origins. Whereas for Dragon Age Origins, you got like, man, when what you chose, your character specialization, whether you're a noble, a mage, or your race, whether you're an elf, a dwarf, or a human, or what have you, that gave you like you had like a character origin story part, like gameplay / story part that lasted for about an hour or two. Then added to that, it affected how people treated you in various other key main missions. It really just it was like I'd say like gold standard that your race had huge ramifications for what your experience of the game was, and it also really built up story wise your character's decision making. So it really helps you get vested into your character. So I thought that was amazing. Cyberpunk's one is, yeah, you get to make a few extra decisions as a corpo, make some corpo observations, but ultimately they do nothing. And you play like what, an hour of your, maybe an hour, 40, what was it, 45 minutes to an hour at best of like, intro story, which is okay. Like as a corpo, you walk into the office, which is a shame actually in some respect, because like when you're as a corpo, you walk into Arasaka Tower, man, you're like going in with your suit and tie shit, you're all decked out, doing in a soul-sucking corporate world where they work you like a dog, and then you just see your boss order out, your boss just give you a hit, it says gotta complete this hit or else you're fired, or else you're screwed. So you do the hit. You go meet up with your homie to try plan the hit, only to get intercepted. Find out the person you're gonna, take out is like found out that you're gonna take them out, and now they're trying to basically ruin your whole life. And then you don't even find out how they found out. You don't really a lot of unanswered questions. I mean, yes, I know those. Like if you're on YouTube, the people who talk about Cyberpunk, like I don't know, something Lost No Meal. He speaks about Cyberpunk lore. There's some other YouTubers who've done it. There is an explanation of who screwed you over, but I mean, dude, you have to go read. I don't know. It's not obvious, and you have to do a lot of digging to figure it out. And honestly, it's not that interesting. I feel like it should, given that, I feel like I should have given more prominence. Put it like that. Maybe give an hour or two of gameplay or story moments. Just an hour or two of that. Then added to that in the game, you should have the decisions that you extra. Like, I don't know, dialogue options that you could have had based on your life path. If they could maybe give you more money, access to better weapons, something just to enhance the game a bit more. If they could just change the character interactions a bit more, I felt it could have been better. But in saying that, it's still decent. It's still serviceable. It's just not the gold standard of what it could be, especially given what they marketed to us early when the game was, in development. It's not what we got. Still good, but not what we got. So I found that a bit lacking. And then last but not least, going on to the side quests, specifically talking about gigs, right? So like Witcher contracts and Witcher 3. The gigs, it's in an open world, it's very hard for these side gigs, contracts, what have you, to not feel like fetch quests. if I was to grade Cyberpunk on this, I'd say it's like I'd give him like a B, yeah, a B or an A minus, because like the gigs are not like Witcher contracts and Witcher 3, where I felt like I was a Witcher. It was far more enjoyable. With the gigs, like I drive to a gig location, I get a call, I do the job, I read like a dossier brief. I just thought they could have done something, man. Maybe I go meet Wakako and she gives me the deal in person or something like that. Or I meet one of her agents or something. I just felt like they could have made it a bit more involved, make me feel like more of a solo, you know. Um, do like more negotiation over a table and like maybe an afterlife. I don't know. They could have done something a bit to improve that aspect, if I'm being honest. But in saying that, if you actually pay attention to it, you listen to your what are they called again? Your middlemen, your dealer. I forgot the your handler. I don't know. The people who give you the contracts, right? The fixer, yeah, the fixers. If you could like if you pay attention, you listen to the call from your fixer, and then you actually go read the brief that they send you over text. Sometimes again, you get more involved, especially when you like as you do the heist and you got all that information in the background, and then you pay attention to what like the NPCs, enemies that you're trying to kill are saying. You read like stuff that you find on computer terminals. It can become a lot more engaging and engrossing. My only gripe is that, dude, most people don't play the game like that. We don't, at least maybe I don't. I don't always read unless, I don't know. It's very rare. Maybe on my second, third playthrough, I might try reading more. But yeah, thought they could have done it a bit better just to make it a bit more engaging. But overall, there are some really good ones. Especially where like characters behave differently and so on. Like it can get good. I'd say out of like the 30 or some odd gigs that you have available to, maybe like a third are really good. So about 10 are pretty good. So it's a bit of hit or miss, but it's not the worst that I've seen by far. I mean, it's still decent. So I'll give it a B. Yeah, I was thinking A. I'll give it a B on that regard. Overall, going on these RPG elements, I want to give Cyberpunk either an A minus or an A. I'm feeling generous. I'll give it an A rating. It doesn't, again, like it has some moments where it's really good, but it has some moments where it's a bit meh. But overall, solid. Can't complain. So from a gameplay experience, Cyberpunk 2077 it's a first-person shooter, but it's got this I want to say added benefit of the overall skill tree that they have, which has basically 5 core branches. Those 5 core branches being body, reflexes, technical ability, cool, and intelligence. Those are the 5 core ones. And then with the addition of Phantom Liberty, you also get the addition of like a semi branch, which is the relic skill tree, or branch of itself. So now this branch overall enhances the overall gameplay because it's a standard FPS. When you add that abilities from the skill trees, it enhances it. The enhancement comes from the introduction of more abilities that you can use in the game, and then overall just buffs to your damage that you dish out either through melee using the fisticuffs or like a blunt object or some blade of some type, or your weapon damage like your machine gun or whatever, your projectile weapons, basically doing that. So let's go over the various branches in the skill tree. So starting with the first one, body. So body, as I said, that one mainly improves your ability to use your proficiency using shotguns and LMGs. Just overall damage buffs, maybe time damage buffs for like a couple of seconds depending on certain circumstances. But that's pretty much a proficiency with those weapons. Then it also includes your ability to use blunt instruments, introducing finishes with those blunt instruments, and just improving your ability to deal damage with your fisticuffs. Cool. Then the core one, I guess the main ability besides getting additional finishes with the blood instruments is, I guess, a buff or a temporary buff, like a mode, which is called Adrenaline Rush. Basically, this basically gives like a temporary, almost like akin to some games when you have like an invulnerability mode, but it's not really invulnerable. Just like you have a period where your health bar increases dramatically, and during that period you get certain perks. I'm not sure. I haven't really used it that much, but I assume there may be some damage-related perks, or some that may filter through other abilities, through other, yeah, something along those lines. Basically, mainly a health buff. Okay, it makes you a tank. Then the next branch is the reflexes branch. The reflexes branch, it's weapon types that improves your proficiency with. On the range side is mainly SMGs and assault rifles. Again, damage buffs. I haven't really paid too much attention to those. It's not the most thorough review. I apologize. We'll get better over time. We're getting there. So it's the first start, So yeah, mainly improves your proficiency with those weapon types, just improving overall damage buffs, maybe timed something to that effect. Then it gives you the ability that it gives you, which I think is probably one of the best, is it gives you movement ability. So mainly gives you the dash, which is just a regular ground dash, and then an air dash. So you jump up in the air, then you get to dash. This when you add when you start including some cybernetics, I'm not sure which ones, but there's cyber legs that allows you to Hulk jump, and then there's another one that gives you the ability to do like an air dash. There's even one that allows you to hover for a period of time. So when you include air dash with those jumping abilities that you get from the cyber legs, it can be pretty cool, makes the gameplay fun, doing some crazy movement, crazy parkour stuff while you're fighting people. So I'd highly recommend getting that. Then you also get your proficiency with bladed weapons and the mantis blades, which are cyber arms, where you get like blades pop out of your arms. I think you see it in the trailer. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So improves your proficiency with bladed weapons, giving you a finisher, and one of them also gives you the ability to like block bullets with your blade, samurai type style, which is pretty badass. Yeah, highly recommend getting that. Cool. The next one is on the technical ability side. This tree partly improves your ability to use grenades. I haven't really invested too much on this skill tree myself, so my insight would be limited. But from what I've seen anyway, and this minor stuff that I've used, mainly improves your ability with grenades. It improves your capacity for chrome. Chrome in this cyberpunk world, if you've seen Edge Run, it's like basically people in this world, they enhance their bodies with various cybernetic implants, such as the cyber legs I was talking about. They do cyber arms, whatever, all these various buffs. Now, actually, in the game, when you use these cybernetic implants, give you buffs of some kinds. Some of them could be health buffs. Some of them could be like, if you get killed, you get another health or get another life. It's sort of like in Dark Souls 3 when you kill the boss, only to find out he's got another health bar, second form. You get a second form, but you don't get any crazy damage buffs. You just come back. You get the gift of life. Okay, so you get those sort of stuff. You get also, some damage buffs, or just increasing basically various buffs using the cybernetic implants. Those cybernetic implants also improve your health, a decent chunk of them anyway. So this this branch anyway, in acquiring more, I don't know, points on that skill, on that branch, basically improve your ability to take on more chrome. You increase your chrome capacity as you go on through the game, as you level up, but this sort of speeds the process up. Lastly, it improves your proficiency with tech weapons. Now, these should not be confused with smart weapons, which I'll bring up when I talk about intelligence. But tech weapons basically are guns that shoot energy projectiles. Basically pretty much it. Improves your proficiency with those type of weapons, which is pretty cool. Cool. Moving on to the next branch, we have intelligence, which is probably my favorite. The intelligence skill tree mainly focuses on hacking, which is probably something I haven't experienced. This is one of the most unique stuff I've experienced. I haven't actually played a game with hacking involved, at least hacking like this. I'm not sure. I think Watch Dogs may have done something. Watch Dogs by Ubisoft. I think they may have done something like this. I'm not 100% sure. I never really bothered to play the game. I haven't really played that many Ubisoft games. Maybe if you guys want, I can try to review it, give my take, fresh perspective on some Ubisoft titles. Yeah, not that interested, but if it's for video, maybe I'll give it a shot. No knock on those who love those games. Cool. So you get the hacking ability. So this hacking in this world where everyone's chromed up to the max and everyone's got tech in them, it leaves them vulnerable to malware. So you can install viruses on these people's Chrome, and start doing some weird things to them, blinding them if they got mechanical eyes and stuff like that. Cool. So it improves your hacks, and you can get some pretty damaging hacks, like make a dude pick up his pistol and dome himself in the head. Yeah, the hack's called suicide. So this is a pretty cool treat. Then within this, you get this extra ability, which is called overclock. And okay, when hacking, it's like twofold. You have to have the hack specific one, which could be suicide or reboot optics, which blinds people, or memory wipe, which I don't know, makes people forget what happened. They become vulnerable for a temporary now in time, where you can do whatever you want with them. Yeah, so you have to have the hack for starters, and there's various tiers of hacks, and the higher the tier, the more damaging or more effective it is. So you get that. But for hacks, they use this currency called RAM, like your computer RAM. The more RAM you have, the more, for each hack that you upload requires a set amount of RAM. Yeah, and that RAM is determined by basically those cybernetic buffs that I spoke of, but then also another piece of cyberware which is called your cyberdeck. And within those cyberdeck, there's various tiers. That cyberdeck has a built-in set of RAM, and then there's other bits of enhancement that cybernetics that sort of boost the RAM. So you use RAM as you need a certain amount of RAM to get each hack through, and then as you use the hack, you have to recover the RAM, which recovers passively over time. Now, memory overclock, this overclock mode, that's your ability that you get, basically allows you to use your health to basically fill the deficit of your RAM requirement for specific hacks, which is pretty cool. When you stack this with the adrenaline rush, it allows you to do more hacks, more of your crazy hacks like suicide more often. So that's like a cool combo you can use that I would recommend. Now, the other ability or perk that comes with this intelligence branch is your proficiency with using smart weapons. Smart weapons, as I said, are different from tech weapons. Smart weapons are, I don't know, for my best description, aim assist, mate. You shoot bullets, these bullets find themselves, they move their way to the target. Now, they're not 100%, they don't always hit the target, but if you increase your get more perks on that branch, you can improve your proficiency and make those shots more accurate. This also pairs well with overclock because you can get a bonus for when you're using the kills made when you're in the overclock mode. Yeah, so improves your proficiency with smart pistols, smart snipers. Yeah, you get a range of smart weapons. Cool. And last but not least, one of my favorites, the cool branch. Now, the cool branch improves your proficiency in terms of the ranged weapons with snipers and pistols. Now, mainly it does damage buffs, increasing probability of crit damage for a specific time, or giving like a specific end window where, like Deadeye mode where you just hit crit shots on the head, stuff like that. Mostly damage buffs, nothing special. Then you also get like stealth bonuses, harder to detect. Cool. Then you also get the added benefit of improving your proficiency with throwing knives and getting finishes with throwing knives. That's pretty cool. It's also stealthy. If you throw it like a knife into some dude's head, no one hears a thing, and you can just move on with your business unless they saw it happen right in front of their eyes. So it sort of helps with stealth, and it's pretty cool. Bit outdated given that you're in a world with like all this crazy tech that you're using, stuff like this, but it's pretty cool. Makes the game pretty fun, especially the jugular fatality where you like stab the dude in the neck. Pretty cool. So those are all your branches. Now, there are stuff that I have missed out on, such as the alternatives. So you have like just to sort of cover everything. You also have so I did speak about the cyber deck, which is the tool that you need to sort of make the intelligence tree worthwhile, so you can do the hacks. You also have another piece of cyberware, which, you know, it's like a one or the other type deal. You either get a cyber tech or you get something else. Another one is the Sandevistan. The Sandy is what you actually see used by David Martinez in Edge Runners. You know, the thing where you just like think of Quicksilver. You know, you start, everything slows down and you get to move around for a brief moment in time and, you know, preferably F shit up. You know, you can, don't know why I said F, I was going to cuss anyway. But anyway, moving on. You get a period of time like Quicksilver where you can just do a lot of damage. You know, you're moving super quick and no one can see you. Yeah, or people can see you, but you move so quick they can't see you, the eye can't catch. Right, so that's pretty cool. And the cool thing is, the enemies that you fight also have this equipped. So sometimes, man, if you use your Sandevistan and you moving super quick, and that guy uses his, you both are just moving in normal time, in you know, from both of your perspectives. So yeah, the enemy types also are pretty varied in terms of what they use as well. The other one which you could use is Berserker. I have no idea what Berserker does. Probably should have researched it, but I've never used it, never felt the urge to use it. I think it's probably like an invulnerability mode, or some mode where you just do heavy damage, most likely. But yeah, if I was to recommend two, I would say, well, you have three to pick from. It's a one or the other type deal. I would recommend, or you could use none, but why would you? If you had to pick of the three, I would always recommend either Sandevistan, because it's pretty cool using that with the katana. There's some cool stuff I've seen online. Maybe I might share a clip on my video, people doing it. There's some cool stuff people have done with that. Or hacking, because hacking is quite a unique mechanic I haven't seen in any other game. It's pretty cool to use. I'd recommend that. So that's it on the gameplay. Overall, final thoughts on it. It's pretty good. I would say the gameplay adds to the overall experience. It's not like a hindrance. It's not like, let's say, like a game like Mass Effect Andromeda, where like the gameplay is awesome, but the story is kind of crap. This gameplay is serviceable. I'd say beyond that, it's pretty good. If I was to give it a rating, I'd probably put it somewhere in like A+ tier. It's pretty good. It adds to the game, and it sort of like makes the story even more enjoyable. So yeah, bang on. Stellar job stellar job from CDP on that front. Okay, moving on. Cool. So moving on to the plot. A quick summation of the plot. Basically, in Cyberpunk 2077, you, through whatever life path you chose at the beginning of the game, you end up becoming a solo at Night City, so a mercenary for hire. And as a mercenary for hire, as a solo, you end up taking on this crazy heist, which, no surprise, goes badly. And you end up having a digitized psyche installed on your brain's operating system, right? So you end up having two consciousnesses residing on the same body. Yours and a former legend, or I guess a legend, of Night City in Johnny Silverhand. Right, and over time, slowly but surely, or not slowly, within a matter of months, maybe, I'm not sure, weeks or months, days, within a short period of time, within a reasonable short period of time, Johnny Silverhand's digital psyche slowly overwriting your own consciousness, right? And throughout this process, you experiencing seizures and so on. And the main objective of the game, or V's main objective, is to find a cure to this issue, right? To find a remedy to her ailment. And yeah, with that in mind, my experience of the story, because again, this take on the plot is very subjective. My take on it is that I find it quite mature, and that the ending is very bittersweet. If you've seen the Cyberpunk Edge Runners anime, I would say that the theme of that ending sort of translates to the game, carries over to the game pretty well. And added to that, in Cyberpunk, you don't feel like the main protagonist, if that makes sense. You don't feel like the most influential character within the universe that you live in, right? It's not like necessarily like, again, I use Mass Effect a lot because it's one of my favorite games, or trilogies. In Mass Effect, as Commander Shepard, I felt like I was the most influential character within that universe at that specific point in time. I determined not only, you know, Shepard's ending, my ending, but also the ending of the universe as a whole, right? So you shape not only Shepard but the universe that he lives in, and you get a similar experience when you play games like Dragon Age, right? Well, yeah, when you play games like Dragon Age Origins 2 and Inquisition. You don't quite get that feel with Cyberpunk. In Cyberpunk, you sort of feel like a cog in the wheel. You realize when you sort of look into the lore, you're not really the most influential character within that universe. And ultimately, the endings that you get do not have huge ramifications for the universe as a whole. The parties that you influence mainly boil down to side characters here and there, and then depending on how you analyze the endings, even your influence on those side characters proves to be somewhat minimal in some respects. All right. So, but with that said, that does not necessarily make the experience bad. It just makes it different. And I think ultimately my take on it, even if I'm just a cog in a wheel, I would still, classify the experience as a whole as good. In that the characters that you interact with as you play the game are, I would say, pretty well written. And you end up caring not only for V as you play the game, but, some of your side characters. Most importantly, I love Johnny Silverhand. I thought Keanu Reeves killed it. But then also some of the other characters such as Judy, Panam, and so on, I actually developed an interest in them and actually cared about how their stories played out. All right. So overall, I would say that the story's good. If I was to give it a rating, I'd give it probably an A. Now, I could see how someone could argue for why it's maybe S, why it's exceptional. But for me, I can't give it that rating. But again, that's probably personal taste. I already feel like a cog in the wheel in my day-to-day life, man. I kind of want to feel like a hero. I want to feel like the most influential character in the world. I want to have main character syndrome in when I play video games. I don't want to be a cog in real life and in the fictional world. But in saying that, I still really enjoyed the plot of the game. I thought it was a terrific story and really well written. Now, there are some jarring elements within the game, like in that, pacing may be a bit off depending on how you play the game, like in what order you do missions, but yeah. And then, of course, some aspects of the game are better written than others. I'd say one of my favorite sections, again, is the Phantom Liberty DLC. The story, as the elements of that, I feel are more, I feel the pacing on that is very good, whereas in the main story or the initial launch game, depending on the order you do missions, can be a bit choppy, can be a bit off. But yeah, overall, give the plot rating an A. Now, looking at the game as a whole, I would say I'd give Cyberpunk a rating of A+. If I was to give it a rating out of 10, it'd be a 9 out of 10. I genuinely feel it's probably one of the best experiences you can have in modern gaming, right? For the games released within the last among amongst the recent titles that we've seen released within the last 5 years, Cyberpunk to me seems to be hands down one of the best experiences you can have in gaming, and I'd highly recommend people to play it. Yeah. So that's the end of the review. Please share your thoughts and opinions on the comment section, and I'll see you next time in my next video, which will come when I have the capacity. But in all seriousness, I will try and make more content, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.